Cowboys Nation. This week has been one of those stretches where news seems to pop up from every direction, and suddenly the whole mood around the team shifts. Just when it felt like things might settle down a bit, here comes a wave of updates shaking up both sides of the ball. And the biggest spark in the middle of all this is the long-awaited return of Malik Hooker, who is finally close to getting back on the field after that toe injury way back in Week 4. The team opened his 21-day practice window, which basically means he is officially back in the mix, and now it becomes a race to see if his body responds well enough for him to play as early as this upcoming Monday night. From everything leaking out of the building, nobody would be shocked if he suits up. And honestly, the defense has been begging for some stability. The communication issues have been obvious, the deep coverage has been shaky, and without Hooker and Logan Wilson, the entire secondary felt like it was patching holes every single drive. With both working their way back on the field, things finally start to look more normal, and that alone could tighten up the entire unit. But there's a twist here that people might not be thinking about. If Kenneth Murray ends up limited or even sidelined, who handles the defensive communication? Some folks around the team have quietly floated the idea of Hooker wearing the green because of how naturally he sees the game. It is still speculation, but it would not be surprising if it becomes a realistic option. The safety situation in general has been one of the most frustrating parts of the season. Hooker and Wilson back at practice is a relief, but Elijah Clark remaining unavailable continues to hurt the rotation. Depth has been tested beyond what anyone planned for, and the coaching staff has not felt comfortable putting Marisbell in a major role. Every offense facing Dallas has noticed that soft spot in the middle of the field, and it has been exploited over and over again. Having Hooker back could be the first step in stopping the bleeding. Meanwhile, the conversation around George Pickens has completely taken over Dallas talk. His production this season has not only exceeded what he did in Pittsburgh, it has blown past expectations for what he would do this quickly. He is stretching the field, making contested plays, stacking defensive backs, and forcing teams to constantly adjust their coverages. And the funniest part is how some people try to twist this into a Pickens versus CD Lamb debate, as if the offense suddenly cannot function with both. The idea makes absolutely no sense. The dip in offensive rhythm the last two games had nothing to do with these two wide receivers being on the field together. Injuries on the line, inconsistent execution, and predictable calls were the real reasons behind the slowdown. Lamb's numbers being slightly down this season do not erase the fact that he has been one of the most productive receivers in football the last few years. Pickens being so explosive only helps him, and that was the entire point of bringing him in. Dallas spent years searching for a true 1B to ease Lamb's workload, and now that they finally have one, some people want to create drama out of nowhere. These guys belong on the field together. They make the offense far more dangerous, and splitting them up would be the same mistake that held the group back before. And when it comes to the future, the path seems pretty simple. The team is expected to at least use the franchise tag on Pickens if a long-term extension does not happen before the deadline. The number should land somewhere close to the high 20s, maybe creeping toward $29 million, but Dallas has the financial space to handle it. There is no universe where keeping Pickens prevents upgrades on defense. The challenges on that side of the ball are not about money. They are about execution, health, and consistency. While the talk around Pickens and Lamb keeps going, another player sneaking into the conversation is Jaden Blue. After that fumble in the previous game, he was sent to the bench, and now everyone wants to know if he will actually get meaningful snaps this week. He has speed, he has burst, and he showed in college that he can be dangerous in the passing game, but he has not really been given a chance to show that here. Most of his carries have come in low-leverage situations where the defense already knew exactly what was coming. That does not help anyone. And considering how ineffective the running backs have been catching the ball, Blue feels like the kind of player who could actually bring life back to that area of the offense. The problem is the coaching staff has to trust him enough to put him out there again, and after the turnover, that trust might take a second to rebuild. Off the field, another headline popped up that caught everyone off guard. Talk about Mike McCarthy being a leading candidate for the New York Giants head coaching job next season. This time of year always brings these early rumors, but most of them fade once real interviews start happening. The idea of McCarthy going to a division rival does not exactly strike fear into anyone, and it feels more like a placeholder rumor than something concrete. Every offseason has a moment where an unexpected name is tossed into the conversation early, and by the time the coaching carousel spins for real, the entire list changes. That is probably what this is. And finally, the team addressed something much more emotional. A memorial fund has been set up to support the family of Marshawn Nelland, a gesture that meant a lot inside the organization. His partner is expecting a child, and ensuring support for them during such a heartbreaking moment brought the entire building together. It was a reminder that behind all the noise of game prep, injuries, and rumors, real life still hits harder than anything on the field. Cowboys Nation, the season keeps throwing curveballs, and the deeper we go, the clearer it becomes that this team is walking a tightrope between real potential and constant turbulence. And that tension is everywhere, in the locker room, in the coaching staff, in the fan conversations, and even in how players are handling pressure moments. It feels like every week is shaping the identity of this group in ways nobody expected when the year first kicked off. And nothing represents that better right now than the constant shuffle on defense. With Malik Hooker and Logan Wilson trending back toward full speed, the coaching staff finally gets a chance to piece together something that resembles a complete unit. But even with both returning, you can sense that the defense is still searching for direction. They have been hit with injuries, breakdowns, miscommunications, and stretches where they simply did not look like themselves. And that has forced the team to experiment almost nonstop with alignments, responsibilities, and rotations. It is the kind of stretch that tests not only the roster, but the leadership inside the building. There's also the looming possibility that someone unexpected might eventually take over the green, that responsibilities if Kenneth Murray misses extended time. And that has created a buzz that the coaches might lean on someone with a deeper command of the back end of the defense. Hooker fits that description better than most, and even though nothing has been decided, the idea is clearly floating around. It shows how much trust the team places in his football intelligence. And that trust might be exactly what is needed to stabilize everything around him, especially considering the struggles in the middle of the field and the lack of confidence in some of the younger depth pieces. And while the defense tries to heal itself, the offense is going through its own identity check. For weeks, everyone has been waiting for that explosive, rhythm-based version of the Cowboys offense to emerge again. The one where motion, timing, and tempo all blended into something smooth and dangerous. But inconsistency keeps creeping in. Sometimes it is the offensive line failing to open lanes. Sometimes it is the pass protection losing battles at the worst times. Sometimes it is simply the play calling falling into predictable patterns that defenses pick apart. And the frustration grows because the talent is there. You can see flashes of what this unit could be when everything clicks. And it circles right back to the wide receiver situation. The outside world continues to stir up this imaginary divide between George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, as if two-star receivers cannot exist in the same system. Inside the building, though, the mindset is completely different. The coaching staff wants both heavily involved. The quarterback plays better when both are threats. Defenses have a nightmare trying to adjust to both lined up on opposite sides. It was the entire reason Dallas invested what they did earlier in the year. Nobody is trying to split them. Nobody is trying to choose between them. The offense is supposed to flow through them. But for that to happen, everything around them has to operate at a higher level. And consistency has been the biggest missing piece. When the ball gets out quick, when the run game forces defenses to squeeze inside, when timing routes have crisp spacing, this offense becomes almost unguardable. The challenge is sustaining that over an entire game instead of in short flashes. That is where players like Jaden Blue could become difference makers if the staff trusted them a bit more. He has a gear most other players on the roster simply do not have. His acceleration, his ability to slip underneath linebackers, and his route running out of the backfield all could open up new layers in the offense. And the drop-off in running back receiving production this year is hard to ignore. It has hurt the offense more than people realize. Defenses do not fear those short passes, and that takes away options in situations where a simple check down used to turn into a chain-moving gain. Blue might not fix everything, but he represents a spark that the coaching staff has not attempted to fully explore yet. But of course, any spark has to be balanced with ball security. That fumble in his last outing clearly shook some trust, and the staff has been consistent about pulling players who make mistakes that swing momentum. Blue now sits in that gray area where his talent is undeniable, but the leash is short. And every rep he gets moving forward is going to be measured closely. Meanwhile, tension continues to rise outside the locker room with the coaching rumors. Mike McCarthy's name popping up as a potential hire for the New York Giants created the usual wave of reactions, but inside the building, it has barely caused a ripple. Players are focused on what is happening now, not on hypothetical futures. And honestly, the coaching carousel has turned into such a chaotic mess in recent years that early favorites rarely end up being the final choices. It is noise for now, and until interviews begin, it is nothing more than speculation. Still, it raises questions about how stable the future looks for this coaching staff. Any hint of outside interest in McCarthy naturally opens the door for conversations about the direction of this team. Did he unlock something early in the season? Is the offensive structure where it needs to be? Can he push the defense back into form? Can he steer the team through the toughest stretch of the schedule? Those questions will hover for the rest of the year, especially with how up and down the team has looked. What has become clear is that the locker room still believes in what they can accomplish. Even in the frustrating moments, you can sense the confidence that the ceiling is higher than what they have shown. The leaders on the team, veterans, captains, returning players who know what the expectation is, have been vocal about keeping the group steady. That matters more than people think, especially when the season hits its most demanding stretch. One area where the team has rallied together is in supporting the memorial fund created for Marzon Ellen's family. The tragedy shook everyone. Teammates, coaches, and staff members all spoke about how deeply it affected them. And when they learned that his partner is expecting a child, the organization moved quickly to make sure she would not face this moment alone. It brought a sense of perspective in the middle of a season filled with pressure and intensity. Football can feel like the center of the universe, but real life reminds everyone what actually matters. And sometimes, moments like this unite a team in ways nothing else can. Players talk about it quietly. They mention how it changes the way you show up to the facility. It intensifies the bond, sharpens the focus, and reminds everyone that they are part of something much bigger than the wins and losses that fans obsess over. That kind of emotional grounding has carried teams through tough stretches before, and Dallas is hoping it does the same here. As the season pushes forward, every game becomes a test of discipline, energy, and identity. This team sits at a crossroads, trying to blend talent with execution, star power with chemistry, and highs with consistency. In every storyline, Hooker's return, Pickens' breakout, Lamb's value, Blue's chances, McCarthy's rumors, and the emotional weight of Nellen's memorial all feed into the larger question hovering over the franchise. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In what could be one of the biggest off-season bombshells in recent memory, whispers are spreading through NFL circles that star offensive tackle Tristan Worfs has reportedly said yes to the Dallas Cowboys. While no official announcement has surfaced, insiders close to both camps claim that talks have intensified behind closed doors, and that Worfs himself has given the green light to a move that could redefine the Cowboys' offensive line for years to come. The rumor began to swirl late last night, when several team personnel were spotted in Dallas under what one source called unusually tight security. Not long after, social media erupted with cryptic posts from players, agents, and even Worf's own camp, hinting at something massive on the horizon. Cowboys fans have already gone into a frenzy, flooding timelines with mock-ups of Worfs in the iconic silver and blue jersey. If true, This would be a monumental coup for the Cowboys, who have long been seeking a franchise-caliber lineman to anchor their protection scheme. Worfs, known for his rare blend of strength, agility, and discipline, has been a cornerstone of Tampa Bay's front line since entering the league. A move to Dallas wouldn't just bolster the offensive unit. It would send a message to the entire NFL. The Cowboys are done waiting, and they're ready to win now. Still, not everyone is buying it. Some analysts argue that the timing feels off and point to the absence of any official word from the Buccaneers or Worfs' agent. Others suggest this could be a strategic leak designed to pressure another franchise into upping its offer. Whatever the truth, the buzz refuses to die down. What's clear is that something is happening behind the scenes. The NFL rumor mill doesn't spin this hard without fire beneath the smoke. If Tristan Worfs really has said yes to Dallas, it would send shockwaves across the league, and perhaps, just perhaps, mark the beginning of a new era in Big D. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.